Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unfiltered Vet Discussions. We hope you're having a dandy day. We have a continuing topic to finish up. We've already discussed two stages of a business's cycle, kind of the beginning, the middle, and now we're going to go to the end, to the afterlife. So, Peter, do you want to round it out a little bit more?
Yes, thank you, Kelly, and good to see Stacy and Phil and Jenny as well as Jenny's kitten. Um, so as a practice owner and in any business, there is the beginning, the middle, and the end. And you spend the vast majority of the beginning and the middle preparing for the end. And we do that as people as well. And as I look at myself in the mirror every day, I realize that I'm beginning to look at the end and trying to think about what that will look like. And I think I'm encouraging all the listeners, whether you're in day one of hospital ownership or day 10,000, at which point in time you should be an expert. Good luck. You should always have a vision for what the future will look like so that you can comfortably transition to the afterlife being life after practice ownership, because we spend, present company included, we spend a lot of time putting our blood, sweat, tears into our businesses, and we build an identity within our business, and our business becomes us. And when we leave that business, you take that identity and what do you do with it? You know, you can wear it on a t-shirt, you can put it on a hat, but it's not the same. And so transitioning from owner to seller to not involved with the business comes with its own set of very challenging mental health issues that we need to deal with. And so whether you're selling to your associate, whether you're selling to a national corporation, really always be planning so that you can keep your identity, but also have a life after the afterlife. How was that for a double entendre? And I want to throw this at Phil because he's all about the mental well-being of people, and how does he coach those individuals who probably delve into all sorts of abusive actions just to deal with the afterlife?
Yeah, and it's a fair question. Thank you, Peter. And thanks for your insight and your experience. And what I would say is kind of on that note is leaning into the strengths and the experience that we've had, because to your point is that all of a sudden it's the next day is I'm not I can feel like I'm not who I was 24 hours ago. And why am I here? What's my purpose? What am I to do? And we've touched on this a little bit about, when we pivot, if we have a career pivot, but just that is that how can I thinking about how can I use all of the experience that I've had to make a positive impact on those that I may not even know yet, is how can I volunteer? Can I, what in what way can I be of service, to other people to make the world a better place, after I step out of it. And Peter, I think a number of episodes ago we had a discussion too about, that's one of the things when we do have a lot of the acquisitions is that we can lose some of that experience and leadership, on the ground. And where does that reservoir, of private practice leaders go? Where does that go? Where does the mentorship that's possible there go if they step away? And so I guess I'd like to open that up to the group too, is just specifically, in that position is how do we, what are some of the ways that we can tap into that resource of experience and and just and purpose moving forward. Well, Jenny, you turned your mic on first, I think.
Yeah, and Stacy too. You've
Well,
kind of dealt with this recently, Stacy, and have some ideas. So I don't want to leave Stacy out of it.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
I was just thinking that we have talked in the past about lack of veterinary leadership, and a lot of the main issue holding us back is time, right? When you're running your own business, when and a lot of us who are private practice owners, we are usually 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe we have kids involved, maybe we have, and it's like you're being pulled in 50 different directions. So to me, I'm not there yet. Obviously, we still own our own practice, and God help me if I can ever get the Viking to retire. But I think that's an opportunity to be able to join these state vet boards, join these state veterinary associations, maybe see what veterinary schools are near you that maybe you could go and, just go and speak for a day to vet students, to vet tech students. There's just, I think instead of seeing it as a closure, seeing it as an opportunity and not just shutting down. I mean, now you have time. It's not like you have to you don't have to go, as David said once, and play disc golf all day. There are other opportunities, and that freeing up of your time, to me, it just opens up all of these opportunities so we don't lose those leaders, so that we don't lose that mentorship, so that we, are available to help the next generations of vets, vet techs, practice managers, all of it. And joining these state veterinary medical associations, can be a huge way to keep busy, keep active, keep your voice heard. Stacy, tell us your experience.
Well, for me, I went through two of these scenarios. One, when I left my practice and stepped out, and then when I sold my technology company. And what I experienced both times, which is a real thing, is called founder's depression. And you go from being the key man, key woman, you're calling the shots, you're signing the checks, you're the last say on everything. Your email box is, your inbox is full, your calendar's jam-packed. And the day you sell, your power is gone. And it's like you have to get right with it. And for me, it took about a year to go through those feelings and understand what I was experiencing, how I'm not needed. There's a new leader now. It's not me. The people I thought couldn't live without me seem to be doing just fine. You start seeing life does go on, and maybe you weren't as critical to the cogwheel as you thought. All this stuff starts going through your head till you sort of swing over and realize, like, hey, I did a thing. I did this body of work, and that is always mine, and I will always be proud of that. And I can now walk away and go do something else. But your identity, like Peter said, is tied to this. If you're not careful, you let it make up who you are. And it's really not who you are. It was a job, and you are a whole human outside of that. And it takes a while to get your head okay. And people might say, oh gosh, I feel bad for you. You should be so depressed. You have all this money now because you sold. Well, that's a whole nother level of guilt that comes with it, that you have this money and the people you left there are still stressed and working crazy hours and trying to make ends meet. And it's just a hard thing to navigate. I think that's probably what a lot of people go through, especially if you go back. I've known a lot of vets that have sold and they can't go back in the practice even to pick up shifts because the team is like complaining or bitching about the new leadership, especially if it's a corporate, and you just feel so much guilt that you got to walk away. And that's what I had to do. I had to walk away big time, like till I could let everything simmer, let everything kind of fall where it needs to, and then I could come back later and everyone was like reacclimated to their new reality. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah,
And,
in spades. Mhm.
and by the way, because of the nature of the beast in veterinary medicine, Jenny, having had leadership roles in local VMA, state VMA, been an executive director for a local VMA, it's hard to walk away from those roles because you put a lot of commitment into all of those. And then all of a sudden, you know, the email box isn't quite as busy. They give you a plaque to put on the wall. And all of a sudden you join what I call the Dead Presidents Club, but they don't give you a dollar bill in your name. So I think because of the nature of the people who end up in veterinary medicine, throw our entire being into everything that we do. And walking away from anything, I walked away from my practice relatively early in my career, more than 20 years ago. And I can't even drive by it now without getting in 20 years, I've been by it twice. Once about 3 weeks ago and the other about a year ago. And I left my job with the Southern California VMA after 14 years, and it took me a while to be able to comfortably go back and visit people who are still there that I know. I mean, I helped pick my successor, but it's just, you get all wrapped up in it and you need to be deprogrammed. It's almost, we are cultish in our way. And which is why I think so many of the people who became overnight millionaires during COVID are having mental health issues and opening new hospitals because they don't have anything else from an identity standpoint. It's really hard to get your arms wrapped around a little dimpled golf ball and have an identity with a golf ball. So you build another hospital because the pain wasn't great enough the first time. You have to have pain again.
Well, there's something about that's addictive about being needed and necessary and essential. And there's something that is, from my experience, fuels your ego to a level that's really hard. Like the only similar feeling I can say is when I walk out of a GDV surgery or something. Like it's a very high boost you get from people needing you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, Phil, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know what, one of the things that Stacy said that really resonated, and so I had a couple experiences, you know, with this, one in an unhealthy way and then one in more of a healthy way. But when, you know, I've mentioned on here, you know, I needed to go to treatment. I was about 1.5 years out of school, and the practice that I was in a situation where I was the only surgeon that was there. So 1.5 years out, I was doing surgery every day. And it was that inflated idea of self-worth. And like when I went to treatment, I was like, oh my gosh, this place is going to completely shut down. And it didn't, you know, and to Stacy's point, like the people went on, and it was a very important lesson for me. And we'll say intellectual and spiritual humility. Not minimizing what I had done when I was there, but not inflating my sense of what I did. And I think where today I'm in a situation where I got to be at a wonderful practice, love this practice for 13 years. And, you know, I was in the seat of medical director, and we got to make all the hiring decisions, and we worked as a team, and we built this great team. And then I left. I took a position up, you know, up north for 1 year. And then I've come back. And while I'm not an owner, I don't have to worry about the AC and the, you know, and the roof and those types of things. But that day to day, I was very involved in it. And now going in, I have to remind myself I am in a different position to be of service to the hospital, you know, is that I am not the medical director, but how can I still use what I have to be of service and not let my ego, you know, kind of push its way in and say, well, this is, you go into old behaviors and say, well, this is how we should do this. And this is this. And I think that's one of the things, when I can wrap my head around that healthy humility, and say that I've been able to do a good thing. And it's not my time at bat, anymore. And finding a way though that I'm comfortable with that's the challenge. And so, I'm grateful I've gotten to do other things in the profession as well. But, to your point, Stacy, it just really resonated with me when you said that, the place is going to go down without me. And then it's like, there's like a little when it does, it's like, oh, it's still open.
Oh,
Like,
geez,
oh,
they're still doing well.
They're still, yeah.
I think that the lesson here, if for anyone that's in practice still and headed towards the afterlife, is you should take more time off, because the place will be fine without you, actually, and you don't think it will. And it's so much easier if you can be eased into this than to go cold turkey. Going cold turkey is a shock to your system, and you will have a bigger problem with the depression of shutting it, of walking away, changing your complete lifestyle. Like, you have all this time now, and the first month it's amazing. After that, it's like, what the hell am I doing? And you got to get through that part. But if you take more time off, maybe you'll be happier too as you're moving towards the cell.
So Stacy, along those lines, so I'm glad I waited to ask my question because it dovetails with your statement a little bit better. So you were talking about going cold turkey from flipping, day one, next day, flip the switch, life, Armageddon has happened, life is different. What part of that switch, and I don't know the answer, I'm asking like you and Peter and Phil and things like that, because I have not had this experience, but this is one of the questions that I've watched other people grapple with, is the connections to community. So when you own your business and you're making the decisions and you're networking, all those emails is networking. All those emails are connections to other human beings, right? That's one way to look at it. And then how do you keep those connections up in the afterlife? Because that feeds our souls, in that, we're not meant to be isolated as human beings.
Well, I think you have to build new connections because you're not needed in the same capacity you were before. And part of the hard realization is that you'll find that you thought people were your friends and maybe they just liked you for what you could offer them. And you have to deal with that a little, but you have to build new connections, right?
Mhm.
For me, I started learning Spanish. I go to the library and joined Spanish club. I took up golf, like with the dimpled ball, to see what it can offer me. But I meet people. You have to reinvent yourself, kind of like Madonna here, where you're trying new things, and you can't be the old person you were to the level you want without feeling disenchanted, I think.
It is interesting in the practice setting. Much of our red blood cells that circulate are our clients because they bring us oxygen. And when you leave practice, I left practice, interestingly, without really giving my clients notice. My staff knew, but I did not want to go through the emotional 6 months of letting clients know that this was going to be my last day. I could not psychologically handle the tears and everything else. I'm a relatively emotionally stunted individual for the most part. So I walked away. Client staff knew, and I left them in a bad position because they had to then explain everything. And retrospectively, I would have done it differently, but I'm more mature now. So but as Stacy noted, I left one day, but I had started my transition even while I was transitioning out of the practice to doing other things in terms of consulting and whatnot. I don't think cold turkey would have done me well. I done like 6 different transitions over the last 20 some odd years. and they've all been done in a slow process. So I had my longest period of retirement might have been 2 minutes. And I think we are such givers, and we are in need of new red blood cells. And so just think about, as you go into the afterlife, that finding new red blood cells is imperative to be able to keep oxygen circulating through your body to your brain, and whatever that red blood cell may be, whether it's a golf ball, whether it's a different business, whether it is getting involved with associations or communities. When we sell our business, we just redefine our identity, but we don't stop living. And I think that's the important thing, is that you redefine your identity, but you don't stop living. Just because you don't own the business, you still own your life.
That's a perfect statement to end on for today's episode. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'd love to hear from you. Please comment, like, share, wave hello on our social media and other podcasts. And we will catch you on the next episode of Unfiltered Vet Discussions. Goodness, Unfiltered Vet Discussions. We will see you all then. See you later.